So we've got this fascinating discussion from a recent YouTube feature where Sayed M. Marandi, a former advisor to Iran's nuclear negotiation team, lays out some pretty heavy geopolitical stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it dives right into the peace deal imposed on Gaza and the talk of another war with Iran.
It's like the conversation really picks apart the dynamics between US Israeli plans and Iran's strategic moves.
Right, absolutely. And the backdrop for all this is set in Sochi, which is pretty interesting because it brings in those global angles.
Yep, and Marandi, who's with Tehran University, gives a unique perspective on these peace deals. It's like when you have an insider view mixed with past involvement in nuclear negotiations. It really adds layers, yeah?
I mean, one could say that this adds a serious academic credibility to the whole argument, wouldn't you agree?
For sure. And the way he ties in the imposed peace deal with the underlying tensions in the region, it's quite a narrative.
Yep. It seems like part of the discussion is about the idea that this peace deal might just be a mask for setting the stage for future conflict, specifically with Iran.
Exactly. And I find it intriguing that Marandi suggests the peace deal on Gaza isn't necessarily about resolving conflicts, but more of a setup. I mean, think about it. Peace deals sometimes serve hidden agendas.
Yeah, but don't you think that might oversimplify some of the broader international strategies at play? I mean, there are so many layers.
You've got a point there. I mean, while the narrative points to a dual purpose, imposing a deal on one front and gearing up for another conflict, the whole picture is very complex.
Right, right. And then there's the issue of the US and Israel preparing for what looks like another confrontation with Iran. That frankly sounds like a high stakes game of chess.
It really is. And the analogy fits perfectly. Like you have one move on the board that can shift the entire balance of power.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It almost becomes a scenario where every play is loaded with potential consequences.
Exactly. And considering Marandi's background and credentials, his insights carry weight. It's not just opinions. He's been part of nuclear negotiation teams and all that.
Sure, his academic and advisory background adds a certain authority. Though I wonder if sometimes his focus on imminent conflict might overshadow other peaceful diplomatic efforts.
That's a fair critique. I mean, while he highlights the looming threat of war, it's like there are also important negotiations and behind the scenes diplomacy that might not get as much attention.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like we're getting a one-dimensional view of an otherwise multi-dimensional issue.
True, though maybe that's the point, to cast a spotlight on aspects that are often downplayed. It's like drawing attention to the potential for conflict, even if it doesn't represent the entire landscape.
Absolutely. And that tension makes for a really engaging discussion. When you consider that the peace deal on Gaza might be somewhat imposed rather than organically developed, it adds another layer of skepticism.
Exactly. And the idea here is that this imposed peace deal could be used as like an excuse or a diversion, enabling a shift of focus towards another major conflict with Iran.
It does raise a lot of questions about timing and motive, doesn't it? I mean, if you look closely, the narrative isn't merely about diplomacy, it's about power plays on the grand scale.
Precisely. And considering that the conversation was hosted by someone like Glenn Deason, whose channel delves into conservative geopolitical strategies, it really paints a picture of a contentious global arena.
Glenn Deason's inclusion also leads viewers to consider like the interplay between ideology and strategic interests.
Yes, exactly. And while the focus is on imminent military preparations, it also subtly underscores the role of ideology and historical grievances in fueling these conflicts.
Surely. It's like each move on that geopolitical chessboard is carefully calculated, intertwining historical narratives with modern strategy.
Absolutely. And plus, it underscores the idea that a peace deal might really be two-faced. On one side, it promises stability, but on the other, it might pave the way for a more aggressive policy, especially concerning Iran.
And that's where you almost feel the tension. The promise of peace could be undermined by underlying ambitions for further conflict.
Yes, it's that irony that really stands out, you know? It's like you have one hand offering reconciliation while the other is drawing the blueprint for war.
Yet, I think there's an element of caution in that presentation. I mean, perhaps the purveyors of this content want us to question the narratives we're fed by our governments.
Certainly. And if you look at the details like impressions regarding Gaza, it forces you to ask whether these peace accords are like authentic attempts at mediation or just a smokescreen for ulterior motives.
Yeah, there's definitely a need to critically analyze these situations rather than just taking the presented narratives at face value.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this discussion so compelling. It's not just a straightforward narrative, it's layered, and it forces us to examine complex strategic and geopolitical maneuvers.
Right. And I like that you pointed out the role of media in all of this. The video, coming from a platform like YouTube with a significant viewership, does bring these issues to a broader audience.
And it's interesting how digital platforms now are arenas of not just social engagement, but serious geopolitical discourse. It's like the world stage has moved online.
Yeah, true. Though I sometimes wonder if the online format might oversimplify these complex issues for the general public.
That's a good point. The format, while accessible, can be a double edged sword, bringing attention to vital issues but sometimes reducing them to catchy headlines and sound bites.
Exactly. And that's where critical listening becomes key. Listeners need to dig deeper than the surface narrative.
Right. And perhaps that's the ultimate takeaway from this dialogue to constantly question and explore the underlying motives behind such major international developments.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like this discussion, with its mix of academic insight and on the ground perspective, really invites us to look at global politics with both skepticism and curiosity.
Well said. And as we wrap up, it's like, let's carry that critical mind forward, questioning, analyzing, and never settling for the first simplistic explanation.
Right. Definitely. It leaves us pondering the real price of so called peace deals and the true cost of political maneuvers, and whether a peace imposed might just be the prelude to another war.
Exactly. A thought provoking, complex dance of power and persuasion, much like life itself.
Absolutely. Thanks for this engaging chat. It's been a real insight into the unfolding global narratives.
Anytime. And keep questioning, keep exploring.